morning, Judge. Hey, how you doing? Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. Oh, welcome. Welcome to your awakening. Come on. Another day, another way. I have come for my awakening. Another stop for my heart. I've come for my awakening. Another day, another way. I have come for my awakening. Another start for my heart. I have come for my awakening. You got it? Another day, another way. I have come for my awakening. Another start for my heart. I've come for my awakening. I've come for my awakening. I've come for my awakening. Wake up. These rainy days, we gotta wake up. Bless you. What's that? Over there? Over there? Okay. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see love in every face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
Magic candle. Let's all take a moment to connect with and greet our inner self this morning. Let's leave our judgments and to-do lists on a little white table at the start of a path that leads to a small grove of trees, and beyond that, your favorite lake or ocean view. We're dipping into the deeper, quieter places of our brain in order to connect with our inner self and our inner knowing that we are not alone on this journey called life. Let your inner self walk, glide, float down this path and connect with the beauty of the world all around you. You are connected with the topaz blue sky with whispering white clouds. You are connected with the water sparkling like blue and white and green diamonds in the distance. You are connected with the warm embrace of superfine sand flitting over your feet and between your toes. You are connected with the scent of cool, salty, sweet air mixed with the earthy pine and forest scents behind you. Bask in this beauty. Connect with it like you are giving your inner self, your inner soul, a divine bath of light and beauty and love. You are connected to the delicate perfection of the ruby-throated hummingbird zigzagging in front of you. You are connected to the resilient perennial beauty of the purple hydrangeas that line the path to this perfect place. You are connected with the majestic power and infinite seeing wisdom of the wide-eyed owl watching you from the forest's edge. You are part of all of it. even the silhouette of a person down by the water's edge, holding a yoga pose you didn't even know was possible for a human being before. We merge into and become one with all this infinite possibility, all this organic synchronicity of life that is happening in this perfect, peaceful place. And we bring it home with us, because that beauty, that perfection, all that infinite possibility is always with us wherever we go. Even when we forget to look for it or be grateful for it, it is always there because it exists within us. It exists within each one of us. We are all part of this world, and we can make it compassionate, we can make it peaceful, and we can make it beautiful. We fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm, and we spring forth with a mighty faith to do the good things that can be done by us today, tomorrow, and all our future tomorrows. And so it is.
Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on me. Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on me. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see love in every face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Baby sneezes, mommy pleases, daddy rushes in. So good on paper, so romantic, but so bewildering. And I know nothing stays the same, but if you're willing to play the game, it's coming around again. So don't mind if I fall apart. There's more room in a broken heart. You pay the grocer, fix the toaster, kiss the host goodbye. then you break a window, burn the souffle, scream a lullaby. And I know nothing stays the same, but if you're willing to play the game, it's coming around again. So don't mind if I fall apart. There's more room in an open heart. And I believe in love, but what else can I do? We all need love, it's true. And I know nothing stays the same, but if you're willing to play the game, it will be coming around again. And I believe in love, I believe in love, I believe it's coming around again. And I believe in love, I believe in love, I believe it's coming around again. So don't mind if it all falls apart. Just have faith in a brand new start. All right. Hey! All right. Good to see the new faces and everybody. Good to see you, Annie. All right. It's coming around again. All right. All right, let's see.
Carly Simon don't have anything on you. I love that song. It reminds me of a time in my life when that, it might have been a cassette. I'm not sure, CD or cassette was out. Thank you for the beautiful visualization. I was right there with you, Eric. I appreciate it. Welcome to Unity of Chattanooga Sunday Celebration Service. My name is Amanda Adamson, and I am a bit of a rebel. No. Boldly shedding the inherited nonsense and rules of my upbringing, rules many of you may not even know about or have never adhered to. And I'm starting with the belief that white shoes before Memorial Day would summon judgment of the dreaded word, tacky. Whether I maybe thought it came from God or from grandma or from the fashion police. But you know what? I'm casting off old ideas and stepping into a freer truth, and so are you. To our Facebook family joining us this morning, we're glad you're here with us. Thanks for being a part of our celebration. Please like, share, and we enjoy your comments so much. And like I said, share this with anybody that could use a little lift. Just push that share button and send it to the person you want. And hello to you who may be joining us later on YouTube. Okay, I think we do, but do we have anyone here for the first time this morning? If you would raise your hand so that our ushers can bring you. We have a lady over here named Lynn, lovely. Already part of our Unity family, but we're glad you're eating with us today. Welcome. So as per our tradition, a good tradition, tradition I think we'll hold on to. Let's warm up our hands and extend our blessing. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold the Christ in you. The Christ in you refers to the same divine nature at the core of your being, the same quality that Jesus awakened and lived from and demonstrated in his ministry. Unity of Chattanooga is part of Unity Worldwide Ministries, a movement rooted in positive, practical, progressive approach to Christianity and the power of prayer. Today, we blend those teachings with ancient wisdom, modern spiritual psychology, and science to support living a healthy, joyful, inspired life that focuses on inclusiveness and oneness. So, as I said, we have these rules and traditions that we abide by without ever really questioning them. Like me patiently waiting each year until Memorial Day to wear white shoes. As if to question these rules would be disloyal or wrong. But spiritual growth asks us to pause and reevaluate why we do what we do. Sometimes the old rules no longer fit who we are now becoming. Sometimes we're invited to evolve by casting off that which is familiar and no longer useful to us. That's the willingness to grow personally and collectively, to be part of this consciousness that is ever expanding. And like those shoes, and so many things, we're expanding and we're evolving. And that's true for this, the day tomorrow, Memorial Day. It's evolved in the same way, a little more serious than the shoe illustration I gave. But it began as a day to honor the fallen heroes in the Union Army after the Civil War. And then it widened to include the world wars. And now today, it continues to expand and embrace more as we recognize the fuller human cost involved in conflict. Today, we remember not only those who died in uniform, but also the civilians whose lives were cut short, and the families of both who carry the ache of their absence. The circle of remembrance grows because our understanding of shared humanity grows. As unity teaches, when one life is touched, we are all touched. And when one life is lost, we all feel it. So Memorial Day becomes a spiritual practice when it awakens gratitude and humility and renewed commitment to live in ways that uplift. In honoring them, we affirm the truth at the center of our all beings. One presence, one life, one human family, forever connected. I invite you now into a few moments of silence if you would like to join me. It's up to you. As we remember, I'm tripping on my own words. Remember that truth and send love and compassion to the families, children, and loved ones of the 13 American service members and the many civilians who have recently lost their lives since the start of the U.S.-Iran war. Now, as we look towards tomorrow, as more than the barbecues, the mattress sales, and the end of a long 3-day weekend, let's consider remembrance and what it means to us personally. I have a few announcements. Today, our own Ann Yeagert will be available to offer individual sessions for the giving of life until 1 p.m. This is the Japanese art of helping people awaken to the existence of God, which in turn allows them to grow spiritually. We have some exciting things happening in June, and the one that I'm going to plug is, I assume that's up there, is our new book study that we're beginning June 2nd. I will tell you that if you are research-oriented, you can find free copies of this book online. or you can find it on Amazon, but it's not sold by Unity. Frances, I'm sorry, I always say I call her Frances. Yes, Frances Florence. Good God. Flo Scoval Sheen wrote this book quite a long time ago, and the truths are easy to grasp. It covers, all things transformative, and especially focusing on how to get what you need and want out of life, and not in a selfish way. So, but we would love to have you join us. We begin at 10:30 on Tuesday mornings and usually go for 8 weeks or thereabout, maybe 10. And then we go to lunch. So if you show up for just one class, you can go to lunch with us. I mean, you do have to buy your own food, but it's the company.
Is it 10:30 or it says 10:45?
Yeah, 10:45. Yes, 10:45. Well, I was still stuck on Frances. Oh, Flossie. Oh, did she? Flossie, how enduring. So also mark your calendars for Saturday, June 13th, for a spiritual showcase concert by Sean Galloway, who spoke here a couple of months ago. Yes. We were away when he was here, but we look forward to that. He has traveled the world over sharing his message of healing and transformation through the arts. The concert begins at 5 p.m. until 7 p.m., and the cost is $20 per person. And parking is free, by the way.
No Bella.
That's right. We might even put on the coffee pot. Who knows? It's going to be a hootenanny. Okay, so next week, yours truly has been invited to be the guest speaker here, and my talk is titled, Before You Walk on Water. Let the suspense build. We're going to have a good time. I hope you all come. So following the service, our prayer chaplain, Eric Miller, will be available for prayer in the back room. And please avail yourselves to that. It is, if you've never been prayed with by a Unity prayer chaplain, please do that. Call our prayer line at Unity Village also. It's they'll say just what you needed of them, just what you needed to hear every dadgum time. So now it's time to meet and greet our guests. Oh, the word guest wasn't actually on here. But do meet and greet Lynn. One another. That one's not as much fun as the other one. Okay, as we get settled back in, it is my honor to introduce our guest speaker. And this is our dear friend, Annie Sims. She's a multi-talented woman of the world who has personally trained, she's laughing, who has personally trained with Neale Donald Walsh and is now an instructor and life coach of the life-changing messages from his inspirational series, Conversations with God, which most of us are familiar with. She is an ordained minister through the Universal Brotherhood movement. She is also a singer-songwriter who has authored the book, Wisdom That Works, How to Use the Messages of Conversations with God. Today, she travels all around, offering music and message at Unity churches and centers for spiritual living. And you live in Knoxville, right? Yes, she does. She is a spokesperson, for the Conversations with God Foundation and serves as an instructor of, follow me here, Wisdom That Works, the WCG online school, correct? CWG. Wait till I tackle this. We are also delighted that she joins us today to share the wisdom of the WECCE, that is WECCE, or WECCE is a new acronym, or yeah, motto from Neale Donald. Yeah, I'm going to start over the whole introduction. Whew, okay. I have it. Oh, I just don't know what I did with it. With Neale Donald Walsh's groundbreaking. Now, y'all, oh, come on. Groundbreaking book. When everything changes, change everything. Come on up here.
Did y'all notice she was taller? They had to put my step stool here.
It's not just yours, you share with Brian.
Oh, okay. Thank you. You really don't need to say so much next time. Happy to see you all this morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for coming.
I'm happy to be here. Happy Memorial Day weekend, everyone. So, all right. Has anyone here read Neale Donald Walsh's book, When Everything Changes, Change Everything? Anybody read it? 2. Only 2 of my husband. Okay. This is just, it looks like this. The subtitle is, In a Time of Turmoil, A Pathway to Peace. And if you open up the jacket cover, just the very first sentence says it all about this book, in my opinion. This book speaks to the heart of every person who has lost their bearings in the aftermath of a major life change, and to those who would help them. A strikingly clear and useful text, it offers wonderful tools for healing and living. So for many years, When Everything Changes, Change Everything was the last book in what we call the Conversations with God cosmology. It's like the 11th, I think, depending on how you count them. And that was until he wrote Conversations with God, Book 4, Awaken the Species, 10 years ago, after he thought he had long finished writing dialogue books with the divine. Now, this is not one of those question-answer books like Conversations with God, Books 1, 2, 3, and 4, but it's powerful if you or anyone you know is going through unwelcome change, a big life change. So this book places before us a quote that many people would not agree with, maybe most people would not agree with, and it is this: all change is change for the better. Change occurs because you want it to occur. Like Greg said, you might better let that sink in for a minute. all changes change for the better, change occurs because you want it to occur. That's a stretch for us, isn't it? That's a lot to try to wrap your brain around. The mind rejects such notions and begs the question, how can this horrible thing have happened to me because I wanted it to? Yet, over and over in the Conversations with God dialogue, it says nothing can happen to the soul that is not of the soul's choosing. Nothing comes to the experience of the soul that is unbidden by the soul. In New Thought circles such as Unity or Centers for Spiritual Living, we sometimes say this, nothing happens to me, everything happens through me, right? Does anyone here disagree with that statement? It's okay if you do. But given who we really are, which are individuations of divinity, endowed and imbued with its same characteristics, we can begin to see logically how this could be a true statement. Put this down here for a minute. Does God make mistakes? Can anything happen to God that God does not want to have happen? I don't think so. Do you? Okay, so then if our soul is that pure essence of our very being, the part of us that is always purely connected to God, the part of us that is a part of God in its purest form, then our souls can't make mistakes either. Does that make sense? A little bit. I'm getting some nods. It is our higher being, the larger part of us, that directs our lives in order to achieve what it is we came here to physical incarnation to be. Notice, please, I didn't say what we came here to do. To be or not to be, that is the age-old question. What I want to present to you all today is how each of us can reframe experiences in our lives that at the level of mind feel terrible or felt terrible at the time they happened. Things we wish we were not currently going through, or things we wish had not happened in our past. This we see model. We're going to say we see. It helps us see, right? As we call it for short, when everything no. When everything changes, change everything. WECCE, we see, okay? This we see model can truly bring us peace while in a time of turmoil. It can also bring us peace regarding an event in our past with which we may have yet fully come to terms. As Conversations with God teaches us, we can assign meaning to an event at any time. Some things in our lives that we've been holding in a certain way have absolutely no basis in fact. And I'd like to give you an example. It's a pretty funny story. I was telling Eric this morning, I get 20 minutes to try to teach this thing that Neale takes 2 hours to teach. But he tells this story about, I don't know if y'all know, he had a background in radio. He's done a whole lot of different things, and he's a wonderful on-the-air guy. And so when he was quite young, he was doing a radio show with a partner. And it was a conservative versus liberal type of radio show. And he was the liberal. And so this conservative host, who was much older than him, who had been at the station for a long time and was very close with the owner of the station, started going off on this rant about charities and how none of the money ever trickles down to the people that need it. And Neale can't remember if it was Red Cross, United Way. It was one of the big ones. And this guy, this conservative guy, is saying, they keep all the money for themselves. It's a Ponzi scheme. If 5% gets to those people, that's a lot. And Neale's like, that's just not true. And the guy's, sure it is, sure it is. And so when they went to the break, Neale actually called that particular organization and got the director of it on the phone and said, I'm on a radio show here with this guy who says that you only 5% trickles down to the people you're supposed to be helping. And she goes, Mr. Walsh, that's absolutely not true. Actually, he went by the radio name, I have to tell you, Bob White. So anyway, she said, that's just not true. We're audited twice a year. I can show you the records. Okay, it's like 15% go to administrative expenses. 85% gets passed down. She said, I can fax you the paperwork that we have to turn in. He goes, would you mind going on the air with me? And she goes, sure, I'll go on the air. So they go back from the break. And so there's this guy carrying on this rant again, more about this 5%. He goes, well, I'll tell you what, I've got the director of X organization on the phone, and she would like to speak with you. He puts this woman on live, on air, and totally humiliates this guy. She's like, sir, we can have the discussion if you say 15% is too much for administrative expenses, but it's just not true. Oh, I didn't say that you only keep 5%. Neale goes, of course you did. I'll play back the tape. So, I mean, Neale really gave it to him, you know. And so they get through the thing, and then they go to the break, and his partner throws down his headphones, storms out of the studio, and says, you do the rest of the show by yourself. I'm out of here. Oh, yeah, called him a smartass. So thank you, Greg. And so anyway, Neale said, that's no problem for me. I could talk for 3 days straight and never stop. So anyway, he finishes the radio show. Then he goes out to his desk, and there's the guy. Pack your things, you're done here. Who? What? You're done. Sorry, kid, bad break. You're out. Is that all I'm supposed to tell at that point?
You're telling the story.
That's it, right? Was there another? Well, I didn't put that part. Oh, okay, yeah. No, I'm supposed to tell what happened. Like, I think it was 5 or 6 months later. Okay, so of course, what's he thinking, y'all? What's he thinking? Why did he get fired? Right? I humiliated the boss's really good friend on the air, and I got canned for it. He's carrying that experience around, that thought, that reality around for months. Well, one day he runs into the former owner, or the owner of the station where he had worked formerly. And the guy goes, hi, Bob, how you doing? And Neale's like, don't you hi, Bob, me. You fired me because of blah, 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 blah. And the owner's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, you fired me because I one-upped what's his name. I got the lady from the charity on there and embarrassed him on the air, and you all fired me. He goes, Neale, that's not what happened. Of course it is. He goes, no. Don't you know that we downsized that day? We had got our numbers back, and the station was about to go into insolvency, and we had to let several employees go that same day. And you had only been there a year, so it was last hired, first fired. That's what really happened. And of course, Neale was completely flabbergasted. He's like, all this time, I've been carrying this wrong, false thought about this whole thing. So now I'm ready for the first slide, please, John. Thank you. So this is what the We See model looks like. We start with the event. We've got the mechanics of the mind on from your side on the left side, the system of the soul on the right side. For now, we're going to focus on the mechanics of the mind side. And what I want to do is plug in this Neale Bob White radio show guy's story into how he arrived at that conclusion for so long, okay? So try to stay with me as I present this, and I have to tell y'all, this is a tough model, and I'm going to do my best to explain it the best I can, but it's still it's difficult. I'm still working to fully get it, so I'm going to beg your permission to not be perfect in this, but I'm going to do my best. But I do want you to know that since the book came out, When Everything Changes, Change Everything, a number of psychologists have reached out to Neale and said it is an absolutely groundbreaking representation of how the mind works, and that some of them are using it in their practice. So we're going to plug in this Neale Bob White radio show guy story to show how he had been living in an imagined truth that led to a distorted reality. So what was the event that happened? The event was Neale was fired after one-upping his partner live on the air, right? That's the event. So if you move down to data, there are two types of data, factual and judged. We're going to go with the judged data because it's a lower data. What happens when there's an event? Your mind immediately searches its data bank to try to contextualize that event. so that you can make some sense of it. Okay, so his mind searched his data bank for any prior event that Neale knew about in which retribution had been involved. He judged his experience. He judged his experience to be like those. And most people would have made that judgment. Anybody would jump to that conclusion, right? That judge data that I was fired because of what happened. So what happens, judge data, from your data comes your truth. And there are three types of truth: actual, apparent, imagined. From judged data comes imagined truth. I was fired because I humiliated the boss's best friend at the station on the air. Right? That's the imagined truth. So from your truth is where your thoughts come from. His thoughts were thoughts such as, boy, I've learned my lesson. But how dare he fire me? I was the right one. I was right. He should have been fired, not me. And of course, from our thoughts come our emotions. Now, a lot of people think that emotions create thoughts, but it's not true. Thoughts create emotions. If you're ever holding a negative emotion, think about what was I thinking that made me start feeling that way, and you'll find that that's true. So, what were his emotions at the time? He was angry. He was hurt. He probably had some fear around. Oh gosh, I've just lost my job and I've got bills to pay. But the data, the judged data, the imagined truth, the thoughts that came from that truth, and the emotions that came from that thought created his experience around that event. It was a humiliating, hurtful experience that for months led him to the very bottom, a distorted reality. Are y'all tracking with me? I'm seeing some nods. Man, y'all are good. Yay. Okay, thank you. That's why I tell you it's complicated, right? Okay, now, let's imagine what his reality around that event could have been if he had simply applied factual data from his mind instead of judged data from his mind. The fact was, Neale was fired. Without overlaying any judgment on what happened, all he really knew was, I was fired. That's what apparently happened. So the factual data leads to an apparent truth. An apparent, just what is apparently so, without any overlaying thing on top of it. From your apparent truth can come different thoughts. They're not going to be judgmental thoughts now, right? They're going to be thoughts like, okay, I lost my job. I better go get another job. And the emotion is like, maybe I'm scared. I've got bills to pay. But maybe some fear. But again, holding the thought, I can probably find a job. Hopefully I can find a job. And then that leads to a more positive experience for sure than the one that he carried around, all that negativity that he carried around, and probably told everybody what bad people they were too. Okay, and then that leads us, if we can come from the factual data that from which our apparent truth comes, and our thoughts, emotions, and experiences from those places, from factual data and apparent truth, then we arrive at a type of reality that Neale calls observed. It's simply an observed reality. This is what is observably true about this. That okay? Oh man, y'all are good. Okay. Okay. Now, let's see, make sure I'm in the right place here. Yes. Now, let's see how this model worked once Neale found out the actual truth of what happened after he ran into his old boss. What happened was more factual data was overlaid on top of the data that he was carrying about this experience. You were fired because we found out we had to hurriedly downsize the station in order to stay financially solvent. Several other employees were let go that day. Last hired, first fired, right? So if we plug that in, okay, the event is Neale was fired after one-upping his radio partner on the air. We go to factual data about what actually happened. I was fired because they were downsizing the station. That leads to an actual truth of what happened. Okay? The actual truth about what happened leads to entirely different thoughts about what happened. Oh, good. It wasn't my fault. I've been wrong about this for all these months. I've been carrying all this stuff around, mad at everybody. So, what are the emotions that come from the new thoughts? No more anger at his on-air partner. No more bitterness about getting fired unjustifiably. No more anger at the owner of the station. And what kind of experience does that lead us to? Much, much, much more positive experience about getting fired, right? And then that leads us to ultimate reality. Cool? Okay. Ah! Okay. Thank you, Amanda. Okay. So hopefully now, at least some of you are understanding a little bit better how the mind works. Once we know how it works, we can begin to see that if we can choose to stay out of our judgment, out of our judged data, we can have a much more positive experience of life, thus creating a much happier reality for ourselves. But what about this right side of the wheel that we call the system of the soul? Here's how that side works. When we ask God for help with difficulties in our lives and we open ourselves up to our higher knowing about it, we can create a completely different reality about that event. So to further use Neale's Bob White example, what if, instead of jumping to conclusions, stewing in his own juices, what if he had decided to pray about it, or to meditate, or to have a conversation with God about it? Now, mind you, he was a much, much, much younger man, and he had no idea his future was going to be writing books called Conversations with God. But what if he had done that? How might that have been different? The event, Neale was fired, happened, but instead of stewing in his mind, he could have come down on the right side of the wheel. He could have stepped outside of his mind to look at that event from the perspective of his soul, a different point of view that the soul has, the soul or God's larger point of view. You know, the soul knows so much more than the mind, y'all. The soul, think about it. What is the soul? The part of us that's purely connected to divinity. What are the three things that most spiritual religions and so forth say about God? Omniscience is one quality. Omnipotence, omnipresent. But that omniscience, our soul has access to that. So that's why we want to try to move down the system of the soul and seek our higher knowings, wisdom about anything. When we can move to that perspective, that point of view, we can see the event in a whole new way. We can therefore have a new perception about it. And then, when we can perceive it in a new way, when we can see it in a new way, we automatically change our belief about it. As Neale says, seeing is believing. And when we can believe the soul's assessment that all changes change for the better, and this would not be happening were it not for my higher good, we automatically end up behaving in a different way. Our behavior is different than we would have when we came from the judged data of the mind. Our enlightened behavior leads to an entirely different experience of the event compared to our less informed mind's experience. This always leads to ultimate reality. The ultimate reality that knows that all change is change for the better, that something better will surely result from this difficult event. Now I want to tell you what that was in Neale's case. After he was fired from his Bob White on-air job, several months later, he ended up getting a high-profile, nationally syndicated radio show at another station. Talk about something better. Does anybody have an event in their lives in which they can't, at least given enough time, find a blessing in it? Everybody's nodding. Yeah, that's what this is about. Trying to stay out of that judgment of the mind. If nothing else, move up to just observing what's really happening. There's a quote that I've heard Neale say many times, and it's this: there may be something I don't fully know about this, the knowing of which could change everything. Write that in lipstick on your bathroom mirror, ladies. There may be something I don't fully know about this, the knowing of which could change everything. This is why we want to consult our higher knowing in a time of difficult change. This is why he titled the book, When Everything Changes, Change Everything. There is a reason things are happening the way they're happening, and you are not a victim to this reason. Rather, believe it or not, you are at cause in the matter, at the soul level. Remember, nothing happens to me. Everything happens through me. We can go on to say everything happens for me. In his book, Neale invites us to do this. Choose a state of being before you do anything. I may have talked about that here before, choosing a state of being and coming from that place. Just arbitrarily decide at any time what positive aspect of divinity you now choose to be. And stick with it. No matter what may show up to the contrary, stick with it unless and until you decide to choose another aspect of divinity. You can choose them at any time arbitrarily. Just make your choosing of a very high state of being the biggest event of your life. Now we're ready for you, John. So in this revised model, one thing has changed. Do you see what it is? What's at the top of the wheel? That's why you're the boss man. Being. In this revised we see model, we replace the event at the top of the model with an intentional state of being. Do this and watch your life begin to change. Choosing a high state of being automatically catapults you into a higher awareness than that of the mind. As a matter of fact, when Neale teaches this sometimes, besides being, he'll put awareness, consciousness. Your reality comes from your state of being rather than from the events in your life. Thank you to Greg who gave me that this morning. Your reality comes from your state of being, not what's happening to you. You are not a victim of circumstance. For example, if I decide to be compassionate, that will color my soul's point of view or perspective, which will change my perception, the way I see what's happening. When I see through eyes of compassion, I will hold a higher belief about what's happening than if I only come from the mechanics of my mind. My mind's knowledge is so limited. The soul's knowledge and wisdom is unfathomable. My belief changes my behavior, which changes my experience and ultimately changes my reality. This, my friends, is how we create our own reality. Remember, I said that we see, when everything changes, change everything, invites us to come from both the mechanics of the mind and the system of the soul when confronted with big, unwelcome change, to marry those two together. It's not enough to say, well, all things happen for good. You can't just say that and leave it at that, because inquiring minds want to know facts. Inquiring minds want to know more facts in order to be able to healthfully process a painful experience and move past it. As my friend Gregory Fisher spoke here recently about, We don't want to just go to toxic positivity. Sometimes we have to work through stuff, and that's what that's about. And I want you to know, we cannot eliminate judged data from our minds. We can't eliminate any data from our minds. Our minds are like a huge computer data bank. But what we can do is overwrite new data over on top of them. While we can't eliminate judged data of the mind that hurts us to think about, we can begin to apply facts over the top of them. And that can move us from imagined truth up to apparent truth. And this upshifts our reality from distorted reality to observed reality. And that's a much healthier place to be. But that said, combining these new facts with the soul's larger insights can move us even higher to ultimate reality regarding that particular event. To knowing that whatever the event might be, it would not be happening were it not for our highest good. Given enough time and self-reflection, we will see the perfection. It takes time sometimes. But if we persevere, we'll get there. This is how to change your life for the better. So it is. Thank you. Should I do the meditation? Okay. Thank you all so much for hanging in there. If you would like more on this, Neale does have this 2-hour video process online. Come see me after, and I can share the link with you. Okay? And I'll tell you, I think I was telling Eric, he teaches it from the bottom up. Oh, I don't know. I didn't tell you that part. Yeah, he starts down here with your reality and goes up. But and it's really amazing, and he'll tell the whole Bob White story, and it's hilarious, I have to tell you. Okay, so now's the time that we're going to go into our meditation. And if I may, I would like to share this poem that is in When Everything Changes, Change Everything. Neale's wonderful wife is Claire, and she's a wonderful spiritual poet, and they're dispersed all throughout this book. And so I'd like to read hers, and we'll go into a little silence. I'll let you know when. Let's close our eyes and take a deep breath. This was a lot to take in at the level of mind. So let's drop down into our heart space. Don't forget to breathe to the abdomen. Opening at the heart, opening at the head. And just be with the soul for a moment. What is it that you were given? I mean, from the loss. After what was taken, the very thing you could never live without. The person or place. The secret or circumstance. Now that it is gone or has been found out, and you can no longer call it foundation. What is it that you were given? You know, and I know this. There is a hollowing out. Something comes and opens you up right down the middle. You see, sometimes we are emptied. We are emptied because life wants us to know so much more light. We'll go into the silence for a moment and reflect on that. as we come out of the silence, I'd like to leave you with a prayer. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, for helping me to see through the lens of my soul rather than the filters of my mind. And so it is.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. That was awesome. I'm like a runway model. So tall. Well, thank you, Annie. That was her first time presenting this, and I think she did wonderfully. Let's all. And it's good to, for me, it was good to see that, because when we overanalyze from this faulty intellect, which I have a habit of doing, if I could just shift to that soul level and say, oh yeah, I have another way of looking at it. That's terrific. Thank you. Okay, so let us affirm together this truth. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give with love, and I receive in abundance. So as we move into our time of giving, I'm reminded of Paul's simple teaching. God loves a cheerful giver, not because some God out there needs our gifts, but because giving awakens something in us. It shifts us from fear to trust, from separation to oneness. In Unity, Charles Fillmore said, "We increase whatever we praise." And I'll say we increase also what we complain about, but that's a different story. When we give with gratitude, we praise the flow of life itself. We participate in the circulation that sustains us, our community, and the world we are choosing to help heal. So as you prepare your love offering today, let it act as an act of alignment, a quiet yes to the truth that Source is unlimited, and we are a part of divine circulation. Your gift, whatever its form, moves through this ministry as compassion, expansion, and expression of the good, as we work to inspire and to uplift everyone who walks through that door. Ushers, come forward. Please sing for us. Our little songbird here. Come on.
Thanks, Patty. Oh yeah, I do this too. Okay. So this is a Episcopal hymn with my lyrics. And I invite you to sing with me. Thank you for my health and healing, shining with your inner light. Thank you for each happy feeling, helping me
wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to bless this up. Here we go. We bless every giver and every gift. May these offerings return as wisdom, abundance, and peace. May they serve the highest good of all, and so it is. Thank you, everyone. So we hope that all of you, new and almost new, you don't have to bring anything to participate. I made a macaroni and cheese like this big, the good kind where you add Gouda and more cheddar. Yeah. So please stay. That's where that's where we learn about each other and bond is over food and conversation. So please stay and visit with us. I just wanted to add something real quick. Some of you know I lived in Orange County, California for a very, very long time. And my youngest daughter, her boyfriend, her dad, and our 102-year-old grandmother live very, if you've heard about this, very within a block of that evacuation zone. So they had to take off to the mountains to stay with my son in Running Springs. But there's so much unknown. And like my daughter has finals for college next week or this coming week. So just keep them in mind. And I am holding them in my heart, and I'm kind of glad that I'm not having to do that because I lived very close to there. But it's got to be frightening. So their peace and discernment in that. Discernment and there has to be a scientist or an engineer smart enough out there to figure out what to do about this. So I appreciate that. Okay, so one small request from my beloved husband here and the people that helped set up, if you'd be so kind as to pick up your purses and kind of move back so that we can transform the sanctuary to a cafeteria, we would appreciate it. And with that, please, let's stand and join me in the peace song. Oh, yes, and most importantly, Eric Miller will be back in the office, and he would very much like to pray with you.
Let there be peace on